This is Wednesday, September sometime 8th, and then we're gonna do a quick review of the thing we did yesterday with the tortoise and the hare. Then we're gonna get to our new story, a love story involving a boy and a girl, and one of them possibly dying.
And making out.
I feel the same way. There's more than one story in the world of a boy and a girl falling in love and one of them dying.
Is that Hansel and Gretel?
It's not just. Okay. Almost the same story.
No, they were
Separate parts where they're not.
I forgot.
So anyway, as we continue, the green sheets you guys should have, iPads I can take from you if those things are out, if I can help. Not that you'd ever be distracted, that would be awful. Heroes t-shirt orders are due a week from today if you're planning on getting one. And then the granola bars, crackers, that's the thing I sent out on Remind, so you guys should be good to go for that one, which I know I've already told you guys. This is for the kids at home who are listening, who are partly dead, hopefully less dead. Did that one, no one in here to torture. I've already tortured everyone who needed torturing. Shirt thing, we've covered that. All right. We've now officially covered all of this with you. What I recommend, do your hand up, Rubinsky?
No.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't ignoring you. You might want to look on paper at the things we covered yesterday, because I'm getting ready to see how well you know those things. And going off earlier, kids, I said turn the paper face down, and then I asked them the first question, like about theme, and they just stared at me and blinked. So if it's not in your brain, you can take a look at it, then you can feel strong and turn it face down. Home children, I can't tell what you're doing, because that's the joy of you being a home child. So we got the theme. With theme, what is our big red word we have to know for this one?
Learn.
There you go. So for theme, it's just the thing that you're going to learn in the story, which we're definitely going to get to with today's story, which is don't fall in love or you'll get eaten by a wild animal. For internal conflict, the big red word is?
Decision.
Decision. How do we have to write internal conflict?
Action or
There you go.
Yeah.
I did blank or blank, same idea. Just make sure you have the or in the middle of it. Whenever you write an internal conflict, it has to be a thing or a thing. If you don't have an or, you're out of luck. And what is the big naughty words you can't use?
Not.
And again, never use the word not. And I will try to trick you on Friday to see which kids are paying attention. I will do things like not use or, I'll put not into it, and then just see which kids can fall for it and see which kids pay attention. External conflict definition is waiting until I get done before you yell at me so we don't have a battle. And then the way you write it is,
Thing versus.
again, make sure you have your verses, because on Friday I'm going to try and trick you by not putting a verses in there and just putting like boy fights a tiger and see how many kids choose that as external conflict instead of doing it the right way. It just comes down to that whole yellow sheet following direction things. I think we got through all of this with you guys. Hi! You can wander around. She's going to be taking random pictures of you guys for the police. And so apparently there was a report about me abusing children or something like that, so she's here to photograph all of it.
Dating a minor.
And apparently I got canceled for dating a minor, so this is where she's taking photographic evidence that, no, I'm kidding, it's for the yearbook. She's just practicing taking pictures, so don't get too excited. You're not going to be in the yearbook. No one cares about you that much. This is just practice for her.
You're not special either.
Someday, they may care about you. It's just not today. Anyway, back to here, you guys not caring about me because I got canceled.
Yeah.
So we ran through this, so we do the speedy version. The three characters in the story would be?
Tortoise, hare, owl.
There you go. Tortoise, hare, owl. Almost the same word. Nice one. Wait, you got one kid paying attention to me. And you have to do descriptions for each character. That does not work with other characters. So for hare, you would go with?
Sassy.
I went for speedy, but sure, that works too. For the tortoise?
Slow and calm.
And again, you don't have to recite mine exactly. If you have a different one that works, that's fine. I just went with what I had, but any number of descriptions work. And then the owl?
Race announcer.
Race starter.
That works.
Race starter.
Not what I thought you said for a second.
Starts the
And then for the setting,
What did you think I said?
I thought you said he was a racist. I was a little confused. I know, that's what I thought. I'm like, come on. Obviously, that wasn't what you said. I was confused. And then for the
You
win,
get confused.
At night. What?
a long time ago, where's our evidence that takes place at night?
2002. Owl, ouch, and hare asleep.
I looked it up and it says
Right.
2013.
2013 is not the only year we had nighttime. I'm pretty sure we've had nighttime every
Oh,
year.
wait, that's not what you're talking
No,
about.
it's not. That was just you volunteering for me to make fun of you, which was also the other fun thing to. Hopefully she got a picture of that. Oh, she did.
You already told me that. That's not what you
And for the where does it take place?
Forest.
Forest, and then.
Forest.
By the way, the reason I'm doing this with you is because there's a story coming up where you get to go do all of this on your own. So this is our practicey one together. So I'm just trying to make sure you guys understand how things go. For the plot, very first thing that happens is.
The argument, like the little challenge,
bragging.
And the very last thing. I will give you the middle one.
Sorry.
So if it begins with the rabbit bragging about being the fastest, and then them racing, number 2 has to be.
Challenging the rabbit.
And if that's 3 and 5 is rabbit loses, the middle would be.
Rabbit takes it out to be taunting.
Nicely done. What's our point of view?
Third person omniscient.
Again, what is it the rabbit should have learned? And I like don't be cocky better. Slow and steady is the official one. I don't think it's a very good one.
No.
So a lot of times you can come up with better answers than what I have on there.
You can't be slow and steady because you're going to lose.
I mean, you're welcome to try. I think those of you who go out for cross country or track should be slow and steady and just walk the whole course, and then just tell the coach, I'm going to be first because slow and steady wins this race. And you just walk out there and just mosey the whole way through. And if they try to sass you, you just start telling them the story about the rabbit and the turtle.
The hare.
But in the end, they beat you.
And then you let me know how that ends.
Okay, I'll get kicked off.
Internal conflict. What's the definition of internal conflict?
Inside.
A decision.
Or not to
The decision the turtle has to make is.
Accept or walk away.
accept or walk away.
Works for me. Race rabbit or accept or walk away. For the rabbit, it's going to be.
Take a nap or finish
Take a
the
nap or just move on.
And then our external conflict is.
The race.
The rain.
A battle. And using what word? So what are the two things fighting?
Rabbit versus turtle.
How do you write it correctly?
Rabbit versus turtle.
Rabbit. Excuse me.
Tortoise
it's a
versus
hare.
hare.
You have now
And it's a tortoise.
officially been trained. So let's get to our story for today. Home children, there's a story called Lady and the Tiger, which is on Canvas. It's also going to be on the screen. I'd say behind me, but it'll be on the screen in front of you. If you can't see it on the YouTube thing, then just go to Canvas and then find today. Then you go clicky clicky and you can just download it. It's a story about a lady and the tiger. It's right there in the title.
No way. You're talking to yourself.
A little bit.
Tiger died.
But I know I have kids who are at home watching this. So.
Oh,
Okay, send me messages. So, green sheet, here's what you guys are going to be doing. Again, home children, this comes to you. This thing we did already. If you turn it to the back side, the side over here that says Lady and the Tiger, that's the side that you're going to be doing here as we go through it. Now, yes, I will help some of you cheat when we get done if there's things you're confused on. But your goal is to figure it out parts of it yourself. The plot is the only one I would say just do number 1 and then stop, because we'll figure out the rest of those together. But characters, you should be able to figure out. Setting, you should figure out. Point of view, you can do. Conflicts and theme, if you feel strong and sassy, go for conflicts and theme. If you feel struggly, maybe not so much. So for our story, as we get into it, I will read it out loud to you, so you don't have to use your own brain. You just get to listen to my melodic voice. Plus, I get to make parts of it extra creepy, because there's going to be some creepy bits in there.
You're the creepy bit.
That's why I get to make it creepy. So as we get into it, and again, all right, so from there, I'll do reedy bits, and I'm going to pause every once in a while, just figure out characters, setting, stuff like that, which is the best of it. Home children, yeah, I don't know if you can see that real well on the home thing, so you might want to download your own. All right. The Lady and the Tiger. You just have to wait. Once in a kingdom long ago, where ancient customs prevailed, a gardener's son dared to love the king's only daughter, the Princess Royal. That was bad enough. But as luck would have it, the princess loved the boy in return. And that was worse. Of course, the two never had a chance to actually speak to each other, but they exchanged many glances and occasionally blew each other an unseen kiss when they hoped nobody was looking. They both knew that loving each other was not right, but they loved each other all the same. It's like I'm reading to a bunch of junior high kids in here. We haven't even gotten to the creepy part yet. No! Oh, how they long to speak to each other, to whisper loving things to each other, or even, there's hardly more thinking of, kiss each other. Told you I could make it more creepy. Still, for many months, they were happy with their secret love, gazing from afar at each other. But at about the same time, the princess and the boy realized that this was not enough. When he helped out in the garden, the boy spent more and more time under the windows of the princess's royal chambers. And the princess spent more and more of her time looking out her windows, hoping for a moment when the two could finally speak. Pausing for a moment. One, we've already introduced two of the main characters. The two characters being?
The princess
There you
and the
go.
gardener.
Princess and the gardener's son. You might want to wait on descriptions until more happens in the story, because for now you don't know a whole lot about them. You just know that they exist. We'll have a third character that he won't get introduced until later on. And then we also know setting. We know when it takes place from the very beginning of the story.
Medieval times.
Long time ago.
Works for me. Medieval times or a long time ago. I would take either one of those. Setting, we know part of that also.
A place.
Garden. Kingdom.
Kingdom, and then more specifically, in the kingdom it takes place.
Long time ago. Oh.
Garden, and then where's the princess?
In the tower.
Her room, which apparently in Gidget's world is a tower, because she's stuck in Rapunzel. But for the rest of us, it's just a bedroom, because she leans out the window and can see the boy right there. So unless she's in love with a giraffe, I've got a feeling it's really close to the ground. Eliana?
How do you spell medieval?
Me, die, thou. That's how I always had to remember.
I knew you weren't qualified to answer
thou.
this.
That's how you spell it. Me, die, thou. Look it up, it's going to tell you the same thing. Then, how is it that the princess and the gardener's son feel about each other?
They want to make out.
They love.
I was not the one to make it disturbing that time. But yes, they definitely feel strongly about each other. Have they talked to each other yet?
No.
That's partly why I like the story, is it feels very junior high to me.
Oh, you did?
The fact that you have
Yeah.
these two characters that love each other,
Want to make out.
but don't actually talk to each other and just do like awkward eye contact from a distance and just do the whole little wavy thing. Hi, how are you? Giggle, giggle. They're like, someday we're going to talk to each other or hold hands. But that day has not happened yet. But it will.
Wait, where does it?
Oh, also, we find out the fact that it's technically illegal for him to love her, because it's in this old-timey caste system where you had to, if you were poor people, you could not fall in love with rich people because that was an insult. Rich people can love whoever they want because they're rich, and that just makes sense. But poor people, you can only love other poor people so that you know your place, and that's going to play a part in the story.
So technically,
Air play.
Oh, what's this? The third setting? I have chambers, garden, and.
Well, we're not to it yet. There's going to be like 4 settings that we're going to get to. You get to sort of choose which ones you want to go with. But as long as you feel depressed, that's what's. There's more setting coming. One lovely spring day, the longed-for moment finally arrived. The princess was in her sitting room, staring out the window, and her maids had retired at her command. The gardener's son was weeding near the palace walls, and the other gardeners were out of sight around the corner. And the boy drew near the princess's window just as she looked down. The princess leaned out the window, the boy stood up, and the two were just inches away. And finally the boy said the first thing he had ever said directly to the princess. I love you. I love you, the princess replied. But that was their undoing. For as she spoke, the door to her bedroom opened, and who should enter but the king himself. Hearing her words, he strode to the window and caught the unfortunate gardener's son still standing outside the window, smiling upwards. I can only imagine how awkward that would be for the poor boy when the girl you have a crush on finally goes, I love you, and then all of a sudden her eyes get big and she disappears, and all of a sudden her father's staring in your face, and you're like, I'm gonna die. But, you know, to each their own. So we've learned more about the setting. When is it taking place?
Spring.
Good job. Good use of my saying spring really loudly when I got to that part to help you. It's like it just came to you. So we also learned it takes place, he's still talking, takes place in spring. We introduced a new character, which is going to be,
The king.
this is where the king comes in. And then, from there, we also found out they finally got to say their first words to each other.
I love you.
Thank you. I feel the same
Not
way.
you.
That is
No,
so
I
nice.
don't, not you.
Don't cancel me. And so from...
What?
It's on video.
Oh, no!
Add that to the, I have no problem dating minors, we got to be a couple.
So many ways. I can't wait to get canceled. Dreams come true.
You got another drink.
And so we find out they finally said their first words to each other. And of course, the drawback is the king heard it. Again, it is illegal for the gardener's son to love the princess. But who did the king hear say it?
The girl.
Did he hear the gardener's son?
No.
So he does not know if the gardener's son is guilty. If he did, if the king had walked in and heard the gardener's son, I love you, he could have just walked in like, hey kid, stab, and just stabbed him right there and been like, good day, and then walked away. But he doesn't, for all he knows, the princess is like a Disney princess and was just leaning out the window going, I love you, trees, I love you, butterflies, and just happened like, and the gardener's son was like, what's up with this crazy bro? And just happened to be looking up into her face, so he doesn't know if the boy's guilty. Which brings in the trial. So now the boy has to go on trial to find out if he's guilty of loving the princess. Now the best part is, you guys already know. Is he guilty?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. But the king does not know. So this was before we had TV. So to be really entertained, killing a small child was how most older people were entertained. And so here's where he gets to find out if he gets to kill a small child.
Your dream.
Which is like dating a minor, but does not involve caves. Let's continue. As we continue from there and find out about, the problem is these poor kids at home have no idea what you guys are talking about
no idea
with this whole minor thing, and they're just like so confused.
They probably do,
Google
they
me and then find out I got canceled if you're at home. Apparently I got canceled. It's like a dream come true and I was all excited.
Wait, why'd you get canceled?
Because he
Because
said
he
he
said he was a minor.
Got canceled on what?
Apparently the world, I have no idea how canceling works, but apparently it was
Yeah, the
me.
school, I got sent by like 6.
Apparently the world does not like people who go underground and dig holes. So I didn't see it coming.
Underage. Okay, then
Right.
they have to
Justice in this kingdom was swift, and in the eyes of this most just of kings was always fair. There was but one method of dealing with all serious offenses, and it was used on all, rich, poor, minister, or gardener's son. The king had a large arena built right on the palace grounds. Prisoners were led into the center of the arena, where they were faced with 2 large doors. The prisoner was then to choose one of the doors and open it. Behind one door was always a lovely lady. Behind the other was always a fearsome tiger. The doors were well padded, so there was no way to hear the roars or rumblings of the ferocious beast behind one door. And nobody but the king himself ever knew behind which door was concealed the lady and behind which the tiger. If the prisoner opened the door of the lady, he was married on the spot and immediately rose to a powerful position in the kingdom. If he opened the door with the tiger, he'd be eaten by the fierce beast. Thus, felt the king, the fates alone would determine the guilt or innocence of the prisoner. Daring to love the king's daughter was, of course, a serious crime because it deals with love. And being loved in return only compounded the offense. The gardener's son was arrested on the spot and led to prison to await his turn in the arena. But as he was led away, he saw the princess form a few words with her lips. Trust me, she breathed. So he retained a glimmer of hope. I have created a wee bit of Brovy art for you, for those of you who are having trouble imagining. So there's my wee bit of Brovy art. It's almost like you're really there. And so here you have gardener's son, and the king does not know if the boy is innocent or guilty. So he could ask the boy, but as we know, teenagers lie. So that is not going to be the right solution. So he's going to make the kid go on trial to figure out. And you could bring in lawyers and stuff like that, but that just wastes time. Much easier just to use doors. And the idea being is, if the gardener's son is guilty of loving the princess, and he opens guilty door, what comes out?
Tiger.
The giant meow meow that's going to give him a big hug with its mouth on his head. If he's innocent, what pops out of other door?
The princess, and they can get married and let's have
Not the princess. The princess has to be up there. This is going to be random hot chick who then pops out and is like, I get to marry you. And then they get to throw money at him as an apology for making him go on trial. And yes, it is not very woke or LGBTQ. If you prefer non-girl, go you. You have your own choice. But as far as they're concerned, you get hot chick or you get tiger. And those are the only two. Only one door opens. You can't be like, open up both, and then have them like attack each other. You just get to pick the one door, and then the other door locks. And this way the king gets to find out if you're innocent or guilty. Oh, I've also had kids go, why doesn't the king just put a tiger behind both doors? Well, if he knows the kid is guilty, there's no need for the tigers. You just walk over and stab the child. So he's trying to find out if the kid is innocent. If the kid's innocent, the king's all for it and getting to marry a hot chick, because that's entertaining also. Omar,
Did you just spoil the story for us?
by explaining what just happened?
No, by telling us which door the tiger is and which door the lady is.
No,
It doesn't explain.
it doesn't tell you. Wait, it tells you right there, guilty door's tiger, innocent door woman.
You just told us that the tiger
He
is the
means-
right door.
Right, because I just picked a random door, and in a moment it switches back and forth. Because, wait, hang on. Does that make it better for you? Okay. Yeah, I prepared for that, so you can be behind either door. Yeah, nice try. Mr. Brovie, I guess like you're smarter than... It's because I'm smarter than you.
No, you
It's okay.
aren't.
So now, oh, and also the princess, before he disappears, what was the last thing she says?
Trust.
Trust me.
And so apparently she's coming up with a plan. And as everyone knows, you can't trust a teenage girl. So who knows where that plan... Really? No reaction at all. You guys just accept that I insult you, and you guys are like, yeah, teenage girls are the worst thing ever.
Yeah, they
Hey.
really.
Alright, then I'll react.
Isn't one of your children a
Yeah.
teenage girl?
Yes, that's why I do the same thing to my kids to get them to fight back.
You best watch
And
it
if
out.
a guy's comment.
Don't accept old creepy men insulting you. You're supposed to fight back. Goodness gracious.
No, no.
It doesn't
All
always
the other
work like
boys
that.
in this class agreed or disagreed. We get insulted either
Yeah, I was
way.
waiting for the girls
So
to
it's
fight.
like,
The
we-
boys, you just sit there. Anyway, let's find out what happens from there. As he waited, however, his hopes faded. At the same time, the king grew more and more pleased with himself and his system of justice. Both had the same thoughts. Whatever the outcome, the boy would be forever separated from the princess. For if he chose the lady, not the princess, it's a random chick, he would, of course, be married on the spot and thus forfeit forever his chances of marrying anybody else. And if he chose the tiger, well, he'd not live another 10 minutes. They did not have divorce back then. The only way you divorce someone is by stabbing them, and then you just go back on trial again, because apparently they frown on that thing too. So yeah, once you're married, you're stuck with them for a long time, or until they get eaten by a tiger. While the boy was languishing in the prison, and the king was feeling pleased with himself, the princess was very busy. By the eve of the day the prisoner was to be led out to the area, she had managed by stealth and trickery to discover what normally only the king knew. Which door would contain the tiger and which the lady. All that next night she tossed and turned. What should she tell her love? She didn't know how to decide. If he chose the lady, how could she bear to watch him there, married on the spot, happy beyond words at his escape from death, and then to see him forever around the palace with new power and respect, but forever further out of reach than she could bear? Would it not be better to end things quickly and then meet him once again on that other world to which all are finally taken? Meaning heaven. But oh, how could she possibly condemn him to the horrible death of the tiger's teeth and claws, the screams, the blood?
Why did your
Your
voice keep
paradise.
breaking?
Because it's called excitement. The princess did not sleep all night, but by morning she knew what she would do. She rose and dressed, and presently was sitting at her father's side in the arena, waiting for the prisoner to be let out. Then the boy came striding boldly out, and as was the custom, he walked directly over towards the king and bowed. As he stood up, he stole one brief glance at the princess. One glance was enough. She sat calmly and with dignity, and almost unnoticed, she made a quick motion with her right hand. Without waiting or thinking, the gardener's son walked instantly to the right-hand door and opened it. And now, dear reader, I ask you the same question that the princess asked herself for all those long, agonizing hours of the final night. What was her decision?
She murdered.
Which came out? The lady or the tiger?
She wanted it.
She wanted the tiger.
Again, I did not write the story. This one's thousands of years old, so it came out like when I was a kid. And so it's always been like this open-ended thing about you get to decide whether she kills him or whether she has him get married. And so from there. By the way, one of the parts that she mentioned. Oh, let's back up.
Looks like a fish.
What is it that she discovers? What was her plan?
Tell the door to open.
So how does she know which door to open?
Because she's the princess.
Her plan. What's that?
She snooped around
And
found out the secret.
there you go. So she had to snoop around to find out what's behind each door, but the problem is she can't change anything behind the doors. All she could do is find out which door is the girl and which door is the tiger. If she replaces the girl with like herself, the king will know that she found out and he'll just do a mistrial and do it over again. If she replaces the tiger with like a puppy and all of a sudden the puppy comes bounding out, again the king will be like, oh, that doesn't seem right, and do a mistrial and do it all over again. So she can't switch anything. All she can do is choose which one to point to. And do you point to have him get killed by a tiger and you watch him get eaten right in front of you? Or do you point to have him get married to a hot girl and knowing that he's probably a teenage boy, he's going to forget about you in all of about 30 seconds because he now has a new hot girl to hang out with, and so now you're going to have to live all that sadness. So either way, she has sadness and she has to make her choice. Eric Clay?
What if?
Joey?
I have a theory.
Uh-huh.
The lady, the title says it all. The lady could be referring to the princess, and the princess saying that the door to
right
the
there.
tiger, which is also another thing in the title. So if you cancel out the lady as the princess, then the tiger.
Oh, yeah. Mel?
Well, so I'm confused about the internal and external because if you choose the character to choose the external.
We're not down there yet. You just got to give me, we'll get there. It's okay. Eric Clay, did you figure it out?
Yes.
What's up?
If she motions her right hand, does she mean the right side of him or the right side of her?
Good question. And who knows if you open the door? And maybe it says with her right hand, she might have pointed to the left with her right hand, or it could have been to the right, or it could have been straight down, where she was just going like, hey, what up? And he was like, right hand. She's like, no, what? Oh, never mind. Tomorrow we'll get deeper into tigers eating people.
I know.
Home children, come back to life, don't get eaten by tigers. Or if you do, don't fall in love with a minor.